Just different. Epic beats. Epic beats. Epic beats.
Welcome back. How you guys doing today? This is Jason Roy Llewellyn Miller, and I have the opportunity and I'm blessed to be able to come at you live and direct today for today's webisode or webcast or podcast or whatever you want to call it. But it's just me coming to you live, and this is FSJ Show Live, short for the Foot Soldier Show. And I just want to pick up with you. Last time I said it'll be the next day. Unfortunately, it wasn't that. I'm not the normal news broadcaster where I need to be here every single day. But what I like to do is I like to take the time between sharing information to not only reflect on what was been said, but also to take the time to, like they say, marinate on that, to really sit down and think about what is happening, what is going to happen, and what's coming forward. Now, with that, the last time I actually we got a chance to see each other face to face like this. There's a few things I addressed, and I'm just gonna do a recap. First, one of the things I talked about was the pyramid. I don't know if you guys still have your pyramids there, the little triangles that we talked about, because it's a part of everyday life. And I helped to show you how that's structured. I believe I went over the corporate structure of a pyramid to show you how the corporate structure implements or impacts your daily life. I'm gonna dig a bit deeper because I only went over that one last time, so I'm gonna go over all four or the other four or all five today, and I'm gonna share a little bit more. Something else I spoke about last time as well is I got a chance to share a bit as far as my experience with network marketing. I have, like I said, over 15 years of not only studying the industry but also being able to see companies up front and actually participate in a few companies, and especially my experience with the last company that I was with, which was a coffee company. And to tell you a little bit about them, because like I said, what one of the things that they did was below industry standards is they actually withheld money for products sold based on the size of a group, and that's actually illegal based on the laws that govern that industry. So because they're a network marketing company, again, the law states that no network marketing company can withhold funds for products sold by any group based on size. It has to be based on products sold. So I could be a solo person and sell $1 million worth of products, or I can have 1 million people in my group and sell $1 million worth of products. It doesn't matter. If the products are sold, I'm supposed to be rewarded. Now, what this company did is they actually illegally withhold the money, and they were playing a bunch of games. They bought a whole bunch of property, bought a bunch of companies with it as well. But they did that because they said that I didn't have enough people in my group, and that's what made it illegal. And that's what made them a pyramid scam. Organo Gold is the name of the company that I was representing. I recently stopped representing them in October, just a few months ago, actually last month, on the 28th of last month. And I wanted to make sure that time had passed. So it wasn't something where I was jumping right back into another company, because you have to take the time out, especially after an experience with one company, to assess what you've done, assess what you could have done different, what you could have done better, and how can you do things different moving forward. Now that's what I'm going to talk to you about. In everything we do in life, we have to take the time for that. Something I find in today's society, we want the instant miracle society. We want it now, so we like to just jump on to the next thing. And listen, sometimes life comes in waves, and you got to be prepared for the wave. But just like that guy the other day that we saw on the news who was riding the 100-foot wave, which was pretty amazing, 100-foot wave. And the funny thing is, just about an hour before that, he actually had to rescue his buddy who passed out from getting knocked out by one of those very same waves. But because he was ready for that wave and he didn't allow what happened to his buddy to discourage him, he was prepared. And he was actually be able to make history in his current time for riding the biggest wave since however long ago the biggest wave was. So kudos to you, buddy. Congratulations. Now, what I'm going to talk about as far as the waves of life and the different things that we encounter and the things that impact us, because that's vitally important. Now, some of us go through relationships. I recently went through a relationship over 10 years, And let me tell you, for me personally, I had to take at least 10 months to make sure that not only do I reflect, I reallocate myself and my resources, but also I prepare myself for what I'm going to do and where I'm going next. And that's something that we don't do often. Sometimes you hear a person leave one relationship, and before you know it, they're in another relationship with somebody else. And it might work for a while, but it doesn't always work. And the reason being is because that person didn't take the time to get to back to themselves first, centered themselves first before jumping into something new. And that's something that causes a lot of repeated cycles to happen. Something I learned: the cycle repeat until the lesson is learned. So you who are going through cycles in your life right now, the cycle will always repeat until the lesson is learned. Remember that. Now I'm just going to take a quick short break right now. I'm going to let you hear a little bit about our sponsors. Again, today's broadcast, podcast, webcast, whatever you want to call it, is actually brought to you by The Limits of Your Skies and Breaking Bank to Live a Prosperous Life. So I'll be right back to you in just a moment. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in out. See you.
It's just different. Epic beats. Epic beats.
Welcome back. And again, like I was saying before, I want to just pick up where we left off from last week's episode, and talking about the structures of pyramids. Now, last time I was with you, I had this thing that I scribbled down on a piece of paper. I don't know if you can see where I had one triangle on this side, one on this side, one on this side here, one here, and I also put one upside down in the middle. I hope you have that. If not, you can do it right now. It's fine. I'm not going to be upset with you. But what I want to do is to take the time to point out the different elements of each one so you can actually get a chance to look at it on a deeper level. Again, before we talked about the corporate pyramid or the corporate structure of a pyramid, and you have the owner, the CEO. I'm just going to read it off because, yeah, you have to take notes. So I have a lot of information and a lot of notes. I'm not going to go through everything. I am not going to bore you with my troubles. I just want to share with you my wisdom. So we have the corporate structure of the pyramid or triangle, and there's a CEO, owner, CEO at the top, and below that there's the ops manager, HR, workforce management. Below that there's the supervisors, employees, receptionists, and janitors. So we went over that. Now let's take a look at the government structure. So on the other pyramid that you have there, the other triangle on the right, just across from that, we're gonna go there. And in the government structure of a pyramid, we have the president on top, president, because we voted him in. Then below the president, we have Congress. Or one side we have president. Let me just make sure I have mine here. Actually, to the top, there are two at the top. My apologies. At the top left and right, we have the president and we have Congress. Because the president might be in charge, but Congress is actually the ones who make a lot of decisions or pass a lot of laws. And right now, you notice in America, there's a big thing going on right now about Obamacare because the president made a law, and then there's a big fight against Congress because of the party that's in Congress right now. Of course, you might be living in a red state or blue state, as they call it, but really, we're the United States of America. So it's not about the color of the state or the color of one's skin. It's about the fabric of our culture and who we are as a people. And that's what I believe in, personally. Now, at the top, we have our president and we have our Congress, because even our Congress members or officials in Congress, we vote them in as well. Now, below the Congress, in those three going across, we have the federal government, we have the state government, and we have law enforcement. And that's going into the boxes below. And that's important because right below Congress, these are the ones who execute the laws made by Congress: the federal government, the state government, and law enforcement. Now, below law enforcement and below that box, in the four going across the bottom, we have our businesses, we have our schools, we have our churches, and we have our consumers. So that means we have everybody else. But in everybody else, there's still a separation. As we pointed out in business, there's a corporate structure. And actually, in the scheme of the government's pyramid, the corporate structure of the corporate pyramid actually fits below it, just as it does with schools, just as it does with churches, and just as it does with us as consumers. Now, I'm going to dig deeper on that on another day because each one is going to actually get its specific attention. But I want to give you the full overview so you can get a better understanding of all of them, right? Now, moving on, the next pyramid or the next structure that I'm looking at right now is actually, which is so fundamental, the church's structure. And people's like, why? Why would you even point that out? We all know that. There's a church or the pastor, the head pastor, and there's a deacon. And below the head pastor, deacon, there's like the junior pastors, the pastor's personal assistant or security, and then there's the office staff because the church can't run without an office staff. Pastors do need security, and pastors do need junior pastors. Unfortunately, the pastor can't get to everybody in the congregation. That's the reason why they have junior pastors or other pastors who are coming up. Now, they need security because guess what? Some people might feel like, listen, pastor said something that offended me, so they're going to do something about it, right? No. Respect your pastors, respect the people in authority. And also the office staff, because if you need to speak to a pastor, you need counseling, you need to be able to get some kind of advice. You might not be able to just walk up to the pastor and sit down and share all your problems. You're going to have to set an appointment. Most churches today have a pastor, have a church that has an office staff, and you can set an appointment with your church's office staff to be able to speak to your pastor, one of the junior pastors, or one of the counselors. Now, below the office staff, below that one, you have our choirs, the ushers, the congregation, and the grounds. And this is important. We have the choir, which is a part of the church as well. Then next to the choir, we have the ushers. Now, everybody knows in church, the choir praises, so the choir opens up and the ushers get you seated. They play a vital role in the church. And let me tell you, no matter what church you attend, whether it's a Pentecostal, it could even be a Catholic church. And I say it could even be because I love Catholic churches right now, especially the Pope. Big up to the Pope, man. You're really helping to move the Catholic Church forward in this time. And that's something that's so important because for so many years, people have complained about the Catholic Church being behind the times. And you're actually doing a lot openly, fundamentally, and not just controversially, but actually within the guidelines of what you can do. But you're still moving the church forward and you're helping people to get a better understanding. So God bless you, my brother. The next thing I want to talk about, the next thing I want to touch on is next to that, there's a choir and then there's the usher. The choir and the usher works hand in hand. They do. They help to create the balance within the church. And that's important for us, the congregation, because we want to go into a place that's safe and we want to be able to go in and get our spirits lifted, especially if you're going through a rough day, you're going through a rough time. A lot of times the church and the congregation really helps to build your spirit up before the pastor comes in. And by the time the pastor comes to give you the word, it's like, oh my goodness, pastor, you were preaching to me. I've had that experience. I'm pretty sure you have too. And then next to that, the other two are so important within the congregation and the grounds. And when I say grounds, you might talk about, what am I talking about? I'm talking about grounds meaning the people in the parking lot, and grounds meaning the people that actually take care of the facility, because that's important. They might not necessarily be office staff, but they're also vitally important. And it's important that you respect them as well because they're keeping the place that you come to worship clean. They are. And that's vitally important. There's a book that I read, and it says the sermon starts in a parking lot. And that goes to speak about the sermon that you're coming to hear at church, the pastor's saying, that's a direct, whatever the pastor's saying is a direct reflection of the ushers in the parking lot, how they greet you, how you interact with them. And there's a lot behind that, but I'll get into that in another time. Now, keeping it moving on, right along, there's the family structure. Now, the family structure is kind of important, and that's what I'm going to isolate today. I'm not going to get into God's structure today. I'm going to let you know about it, but I'm going to talk more about the family structure. And the family structure is so fundamental because there's a mom and a dad. We know that, mom and dad. Hey, mom and dad, how you guys doing? Now, there's a mom and a dad. Now, with how the structure is supposed to be, is actually very different from what it actually is today. And that's where we have a separation. Now, what the structure is supposed, well, let me point out where it is today. Because everybody's not, might not be where it is today, but when I let you know what it is today, you'll be able to relate to it. Below the mom and dad, based on how it is right now, there's bills, work, and politics. Those are the three things. And you say, why are bills, work, and politics right under mom and dad in that structure? Because right now, today's society, a lot of times parents and families, they put the bills over the kids. They put their work and their work relationship above their children. And they put their politics above their children as well. So mom and dad has to take care of the bills, they deal with work, and they talk about politics. Or they have their politics of what political party they stand for. Worse if you are living in a family where you have one parent is a red state parent or one is a blue state parent, if you understand what I mean. It can be controversial, but guess what? You should still be loved regardless, and that's what's important. Now, below that, which is unfortunate, you have their belief, meaning their faith. And you might say, well, why is faith below bills, work, and politics? I'll touch on that. Next to the belief, there's the children. Okay, that makes sense. Belief in children, faith in children, they might go hand in hand. Next to the faith in children, you have the pets. And then in the corner, in the last box, you have family time. Now, this is the unfortunate balance that I'm talking about. You see, what should be below mom and dad is belief, children, and family time. Those are the three that should be there. But we've kind of gotten out of whack in the last few years. I say the last 70 years. Now, why we gotten out of whack? A lot of reasons have caused it to be that. You see, what it's supposed to be is mom and dad, faith, children, family time. Then below that you have pets, you have, let me make sure that I have it right. You have bills, work relationship, pets, and politics. That's what still should be at the bottom. But it's actually changed. Now, if you're a family that actually has everything in order, good job. And I pray that you continue to be so and do it. Now, most families in America today, they have it the way I initially said it, where mom and dad are on top. And below that, the most important thing in the house are the bills, the work and the work relationship, and their politics. And then after they put all, mom and dad put all their time into those three things, if they have any time left, they put it in their faith while they focus on church. Then they'll put it on the kids. Then they'll deal with pets and family time. And family time is something that is so underrated these days, but it's the fabric. It is the actual, it's the thread that is holding together the fabric of each family. And that's family time. And that's something that's missing. Personally, when I started a family at the age of 20 years old, when I first became a dad, one of the first things I did is I actually stepped away from corporate America to be a father. I grew up without a father in the home present a lot of times. So for me, having a child was one of the most important responsibilities in the entire world. And I didn't want anything to stop me or hinder my way now. As you might understand or you might see, I'm an author, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a recording artist, and I host this broadcast, and I do a lot of different things that I realize that God has blessed me with skills and talents and gifts to be able to do. But my primary responsibility was to make sure that not only did I sow the right seeds into my children, but also that I was there for them to help to build a relationship. Now that I'm in a situation where I'm actually separated, whenever I see my kids and I speak to them, it's almost like we pick up just like that, just where we left off in the communication. And the reason for that is because I took the time previously over their younger years for the last decade to make sure that I sowed those seeds that would help to build the bond in the relationship. So when it's time to talk about homework, if we need to talk about you wasting too much time on your iPad, if you need to improve your grade, whatever those things are, I'm able to speak to them and I know how to communicate with them to be able to grab their attention, and hold their attention, and that's key. And in the structure of a family, because a lot of times it's bills, work, and politics, and family and everything comes after, you find that there's a gap in the relationship, or there's a gap in the family relationship where mom or dad, you don't have a relationship with your kids, or you find that, well, the kids don't listen, or you always have to do this, or if you're not this, and sometimes it can cause for a lot of controversy, and it can cause a lot of heartache actually, because your children actually want your time. Now, they might enjoy the new PlayStation 3 or new PlayStation 4. They might enjoy the Xbox One, the iPad, and all the Nikes and the Air Jordans and all the stuff that you buy for them. But in truth, the thing that's most vital to them is actually your time in having and building that relationship. That's what helped to establish the foundation moving forward. That is what helps them to be the people that they're born to be or they're called to be. Not the amount of stuff that we buy them. Listen, you can buy them all the stuff in the world and they'll still curse you out in the store because they want more, because they think that your relationship is to do stuff for them and get stuff for them, compared to having a relationship where you can actually share wisdom with them and actually impart into their lives. And for me growing up, I didn't have a lot of that in a father figure. And my mom was doing a lot, working a lot. So especially having a child, I made sure regardless of what was going on in the world, my responsibility, primary responsibility. Listen, I gave up recording contracts, $1 million recording contracts, or should I say millions of dollars in recording contracts, to be a father, because that was more important to me than selling a bunch of records and going on a world tour. People like, dude, are you crazy? I got a chance to sign a deal right now. I'm taking it. And that's the difference. See, I'm not going to put my personal career over my children's future. And the primary part of my children's future, especially at an early age, is making sure that we have a relationship. Because after that relationship has been established, now, if I go on a world tour, I know whenever I pick up the phone, I can call them and we can talk, and we're going to have a conversation based on a relationship conversation. How you doing? What's going on? Listen, what's going on with that? And we can just pick up right where we left off. And that is so important. That is so fundamental. And let me tell you, that is what's missing from many families today. That is what's missing. It's not the fact that you don't have time. We all have time. It's where we place our priorities. Too many priorities being placed on your bills. Too many priorities being placed on your work and your work relationships. Too many priorities being placed on your politics. Where the priority should be is on your children, your family time, and your faith. Because if you have the balance within having a relationship with your children, spending quality time and family time, and being able to develop your faith, guess what? It makes handling the bills easier because you're not worried about everything. It actually makes your work relationship more fruitful because now you can cultivate the right kinds of work relationship. It makes having a conversation about politics that much more interesting and productive. So now you're not arguing a point, you're actually able to share information and magnanimously come to understanding. And of course, we all love our pets. I actually have my pet here with me. He's actually laying down. He's with me everywhere I go. I take him everywhere with me. And that's the next thing for me. Apart from my kids, my faith, my family time, my pets, my pet first, because he helps me to then deal with some of the stress I deal with. And listen, some people have service animals, other people have comfort animals. Sometimes you just need a partner where you can actually just hang out with. And it doesn't have to be a human being. It could be a pet dog, it could be a pet cat, it could be a pet rattlesnake. Well, no, you cannot pet a rattlesnake. I'm sorry. Scratch the rattlesnake. But people have pet snakes. But the point of the matter is, for you to be able to nurture and take care of something, other people, they put it into growing things in a garden and cultivating the ground and soil and planting fruits. Oprah is wonderful at that. I actually love Oprah for that. She's one of the only women I know today. Well, Martha Stewart is one. I can't say not Oprah alone. And Martha Stewart. But Oprah had a thing spread in the magazine a couple weeks ago, about a few months ago, where she had this entire garden. And with the billions or millions and billions of dollars that Oprah has, she has her network and she has her show and all these things going, she's got a garden in the backyard. And whether she's stressed, whether she makes the time to go and cultivate the soil. And guess what? She enjoys the richness of the fruits that she actually cultivates. which is amazing, which is absolutely amazing. So she's enjoying the fruits of her labor, just like you enjoying the fruits of your labor when you take the time by planting those seeds in your children and taking the time to cultivate that soil. So later on in life, you can reap the benefits of that. So you can have a relationship. So you can actually share with your children, not just yell at your children. And listen, in my time, when I first became a dad, I didn't know how to handle that responsibility. So it's not like, okay, I became a dad and poof, automatically all this wisdom just was bestowed upon me. No, it took time to learn. I had to learn how, and guess what? I had daughters. So I had to learn each one of their personalities. I had to learn how to talk to this one different from talking to that one, how to communicate different, and and guess what? The age group is different as well. And because the age group is different, I had to then understand this one's level compared to that one's level, so I'm not treating them on the whole. The difference is when you take the time to do that, you actually create that connection and that bond. When you just buy them stuff, you don't separate. It's just stuff. And stuff comes and it goes. And after the stuff, and a lot of times when you just buy them stuff, the stuff breaks more often and you find yourself buying more stuff. And when you keep buying stuff, your kids don't appreciate the stuff that you're buying. They don't appreciate you for buying it, and they don't appreciate the fact that you had to work to get it. So guess what? Your time is then put into paying the bills and working so hard that because you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. Now listen, I'm not telling you not to buy stuff. We are all consumers here. So am I. I am a consumer as well. Now Black Friday is around the corner, but I choose to do my shopping on Cyber Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before Black Friday. Because if you can do your shopping online, I don't have to stand in a line. Get it? If you shop online, you won't have to stand in a line. You get it sent to your door, you just pick it up and Christmas shopping is done. And you still get all the sales and all the discounts. But I must say, Black Friday has some of the most amazing discounts and some of the most amazing sales you can find. So I'm not knocking Black Friday. Keeping it moving right along. The last one up pyramid structure I want to talk about is the one here that's upside down. And I call it the God pyramid. He said, why? Well, Jason, why would you make God's pyramid upside down? Or why would even God need a pyramid? Why would the structure? We know the structure, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's a three-part. The threefold cord is not easily broken. We know that. We've heard that before. But let me break that down to you, which is so fundamental. There's the mind and the belief. Your mind and your belief. That's the top. The mind and your belief. It's almost like the unconscious or the subconscious, and they're actually a little bit further within the same structure. Now, next to below the mind and the belief, there's your faith, your unbelief, and your fear. Wow. Those sound like things in human beings. Are we God? Well, guess what? God created man in his own image and likeness. And these are some of the very same things why I personally believe Jesus Christ came and died on the cross, so that he can help us to understand that we can renew our minds to impact our belief. Because if we renew our minds, it does impact our belief. Just like if you renew your mind on your relationship and you know what, having a different relationship or better relationship with your child, it impacts your belief in believing in them and their abilities and the things that they're able to go on and do. It makes a difference. You believing in your child makes 150,000% difference in the kind of child that person grew up to be, or the kind of person that child grows up to be, I should say. Now, below that, there's it's your body, your faith, and your unbelief. Below that, there's your fear, your consciousness, your subconsciousness, and your soul. Now, a lot of us have heard the term selling your soul. I'm going to pause on that, and I'm just going to look you in the eye. If you're a person that, for whatever reason, have been put in a situation where you felt that you needed to make a certain decision to achieve certain things, then listen, I'm not going to tell you that what you did was wrong. What I'm going to tell you is that the cross finished it all. And that's the reason why it was said on the cross, it is finished. Because at that time, those same principalities were around then. And that's one of the reasons why everything that was done so that it was finished. So think about that. Think about that. And it's not knocking anything. I just want you to have a better understanding. Because guess what? That's what the word says. My people perish for a lack of knowledge. And if you don't have the knowledge, you lack understanding. You will be limited to just what you see. And we can't live our lives by what we see, because everything we see is subjected to change. Am I lying? Just a few years ago, we didn't have Facebook or YouTube. We didn't have laptops. Yeah, and I just say just a few years ago, because guess what? A computer was this big thing in the wall where it needed a few people to run. Plug a thing from here to there, plug a thing from there to there. Now, Bill Gates had a vision and a dream, and now everybody has a laptop, to the point where Steve Jobs came and revolutionized it, where you're probably going to be watching this on your iPhone or one of your smartphones, and it's going to be video streaming, which is amazing, because everything we see is subjected to change. So that's why we can't walk by sight. That's why you have to walk by faith. And I touch you on, just dig a little bit deeper. If you don't have faith, if Bill Gates did not have faith in what he saw in his vision, we wouldn't have laptops today. Chances are we wouldn't even have smartphones. Think about it. Think about it. Marinate on that for a minute. But let me go back over the God structure, because I felt I made a mistake here, or I said the wrong thing at the wrong time. So the top or the bottom of the structure, there's the mind and the belief, right? One level up, there's your body, your faith, and your unbelief. On the four going across the bottom, or across the top, there's your fear, your consciousness, your subconsciousness, and your soul. All right? Now, to give you a better analogy of that, in meditation, because I take time to meditate every day, I got it broken down in a quite a different structure, and I wanted to share it with you because I felt it was important. So I'm going to keep it up for a second. I hope you can get a chance to get a clear look at it. Now, how he showed this to me was actually in triangles, just like the pyramids were structured in triangles in ancient Egypt. Because it's not a bunch of squares or circles within that big triangle, it's more triangles. And that's what makes the structure so solid. That's why the structure is still around today. Now, in this structure, you see going across the bottom, you have fear, consciousness, faith, body, and mind. Now, going up one up from that, you have the soul, you have the subconscious, and you have unbelief. And at the top of that, you have belief. Now, the cool thing about it is on this side, you see gave. And up here, you actually have, I wrote the sun. And this is based on inspiration that I got in meditation. And on this side, over here, what does this one say? Oh, yeah. This one over here, it says made. See, I have to look at it because I'm reading it backwards. Made. And over here, it has father. Now, at the top, you have spirit. And at the bottom here, which is so cool, you have finished. The work is finished. Now, let me just break this down for you, okay? Check it out. The Father made our mind, our body, and our soul. The Son, Jesus, he died for our fear, our consciousness, and our subconsciousness, or our unbelief. How does the Holy Spirit work, which is right here? You see the Father, you see Son, and you see Holy Spirit is actually at the bottom here. How Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit, through the finished work, by your faith, works through your subconscious, and it impacts your belief. In layman terms, Bill Gates had faith, right? And with his faith that a computer is possible to be in everyone's home, in his subconscious, he believed it. So because his subconscious believed what he was then believing by his faith. Now he didn't see it because at the time it wasn't a computers laying all over the place. And through his faith and his subconscious, it actually impacted his belief, which where today we have a laptop, we have computers, we have desks now in certain broadcast studios with cameras and monitors that are in the desks. So you might be broadcasting, but you're looking down, and while you're looking down, you're actually looking at the screen and watching something else going on while you're there. And it's the beauty of life. I mean, even in corporate America, you have it where the desk is there and the screen is actually underneath the desk, so you don't even have to look up or look at it. You just look down at to see what you need to do. Now, I gave it to you in layman terms for you to understand that when you have faith, your faith directly impacts your subconscious. Your subconscious and your consciousness are the two parts of the body, or the two parts of us that actually directly impacts us being able to renew our mind, and it directly impacts how we believe, which is vitally important. It's vitally important because if you don't renew your mind, you're not going to change. And we all know the saying, a lot of people, or the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Now, even within that, I read a book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that book had a lot of stories about great men who've done a lot of things over time, like Colgate. We all know Colgate as just, toothpaste, Colgate. But actually, that's the name of a person. It wasn't just something that was just made up for a product. It's actually his last name. And it actually started off as a soap company. And guess what? He wasn't even the primary owner of the company when he got started. He was just one of the persons who got joined in with the company. And because of his faith and his belief, he actually grew all the way up to the point where the person, so I believe they sold him the company or signed over the company, or he bought out the company. Then he went from making soaps to now making all these other products. Now everybody brushes their teeth with, well, not everybody, but Colgate is a popular brand. Granted, there's a lot of different products in the market now, but you understand what the point I'm saying is. There's another story, or inventors. Take inventors, for example. An inventor would come up with the product, or they come up with an idea, or they come up with the concept. And I'm thinking inventors from the old days, because they wouldn't have those inventor people that they can call to patent their inventions to go say, I was the first one to make it and do all of this product. So they actually had to go through the process of getting this stuff together, tying it together, Einstein and everything else to be able to make this invention work. The thing about doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is that because of their faith, their subconscious created the vision where they can believe and get more clarity for it. So every time they did it, they didn't do the same thing. They changed something. They changed one of the variables. They tweaked it a little bit more. They changed how it positioned. They changed how it transmitted. They changed how the process allocates together to make it a reality. So it's nothing wrong with doing the same thing. Just make sure that you're changing what you're doing. But guess what? You'll never change what you're doing if you're not renewing your mind. And that's what I wanted to talk about. Because renewal of the mind is important. Every day I do that process, or I go through that process when I meditate. And I meditate not only to take my mind off the pain that I might be feeling in my body, but I do that also to focus on other things that I can accomplish. How can I do it different? How can I be better? Because guess what? Today is yesterday's tomorrow. And yesterday, we didn't have computers. Today, we do. Can you imagine tomorrow? We're going to be floating around in cars. And it was going to be like, it's the norm. Just like right now, it's the norm to have a smartphone. I mean, people without a smartphone, you look at them like, dude, why? Nobody walks. You remember those brick phones that are like, nobody walks around with a brick anymore. Because the phones are like this big now. Literally. And guess what? The phones this big can do so much more than the phones that were this big could do. And this thick could do. Goes to show you how technology is changing. And because times are changing, we also need to change. And one of the important things we need to change is a way of thinking. Because if our way of thinking doesn't change, We'll be stuck in an old way of thinking and actually lead ourselves down our demise while the world is changing around us. And that's the worst thing to happen. That's the worst thing that can happen, is to be left behind the times. You'll be a dinosaur in a digital age. Some people might have heard that term before, and that term is actually irrelevant, but it's also actually very relevant. The reason why it's irrelevant, because if you change your way of thinking and you renew your mind, you can then be relevant in the time. But guess what? The reason why it is relevant, because if you don't change your way of thinking, guess what? You'll be stuck, faded away, just like a product or something that comes out and it changes over time. That's my time. But before I go, I want to touch on something else. Now, last time I told you about a company that was going to be, not going to be, that is. Let me rephrase that. This company's actually been in business here in the United States for over 27 years. The name of the company is Melaleuca. They're also known as a wellness company. Now, what's amazing about this company is that the mission statement, enhancing the lives of those we touch by helping people reach their goals. Now, this company is not built on a get-rich-quick scheme. It's actually based on consumer direct marketing. So you have an opportunity that you can partner directly with the company. That's mind-blowing. You see, for me, in all my years of marketing and all my years of watching and learning different industries and learning the network marketing industry and the industry within itself, is that, especially with the last company, I wasn't a partner with that company. I was just a regular distributor, and that's why they were able to steal my money, because they were able to manipulate all the back end. The benefit, or the beautiful thing I should say, about Melaleuca is because you partner directly with the company, it's consumer direct marketing. So you partner directly with them, and any customer you refer to the company, you share in the revenue. So they totally cut out the middleman. You don't have to stock. You don't have to worry about inventory. You don't have to worry about billing or collecting. You don't have to worry about pressuring anybody to purchase. And the next beautiful thing is they make products for your home. Healthy, safe, environmentally friendly products that are safer for our homes and our bodies, compared to a lot of the products that are out there right now in the market. Now, as a consumer myself, it's imperative that I let you know that there are some good things out there in the grocery stores. But it's also imperative that I let you know that this company's quality of products surpasses all the standards of the products that are in the grocery stores. Why? Because they don't spend a lot of money on advertising. The money that they'd spend in advertising, they put that money back into higher quality products and using the finest ingredients that they can find to give you, the consumer, a better product and a better quality product to put into your home. And a lot of times it's concentrate. So you buy one bottle, and that one bottle of product makes 4 or 5 bottles, compared to you having to go to the store to buy 4 or 5 different bottles. So they don't charge you for water. I love that line. But it's actually reality. And this company actually focuses on 4 areas of wellness: physical wellness, helping you to live a longer, healthier life; financial wellness, helping you to get out of debt and secure a financial future for yourself; environmental wellness, which is so important, helping safer for the earth and the environment; and personal wellness, helping you be able to bridge that gap to be able to have some balance and peace of mind within your family time and your personal life. And keep in mind what we spoke about earlier, the family structure of a pyramid, and family time is very important. And that's the reason why I wanted to talk about this company and the last thing I did today. Because it's last, but it's not least. It's actually very important, because family time is one of the fundamental issues that we face, a lack of family time and a lack thereof. That's causing a lot of the problems that we've been having. And this company, because it's focused on helping you to be able to create that personal wellness, to be able to get that balance and freedom and time for some family time, it makes it one of the premier companies in my eyes and in the eyes of hundreds of thousands of people around the world. Because unlike other companies who are just trying to open into new countries, this company is already a worldwide company. So you as a consumer, if you have a friend that's in Guam, or you have a friend that's in China, or you have a friend in UK, or you have a friend in the Australia, or guess what? You might be one of those countries and you have a friend in the United States. You could pick up the phone, call them, or send them an email, and actually, when you refer them to the company, they're gonna partner with the company as well. And whenever they shop, you share in the revenue. Now, the last time I told you how you be able to join, I didn't let you know how you can join me or you can partner with me is by actually giving them a call, and you can ask them you want to join the network or the group of FSJ Group Inc. at gmail.com. I made it easy, my email address. So if you want to reach me, you can actually email me as well, and we can have a conversation, and we can actually share a little bit more about this topic or whatever else is on your mind, or maybe something that's got expression on your heart based on something you saw here today. Now, again, it's F as in Frank, S like Sam, J like Jason, Group, GROUP, Inc., INC, at gmail.com. You can just give him a call. What's the number? I'm glad you asked. Now, years ago, and I say years ago as if it's a long time, right? Years ago, the company actually used to give this. It's a business kit. And that's the thing that I actually love and respect about this company, is because one of the first things that you're given is not a big hype on sales pitch. Now, this is old. You will get a business kit, but not like this. So I'm more like a classic kind of guy. So I still have the old one, and everything is intact. Literally, everything is intact. I kept everything the way it's been. Now, they give you an introduction. It actually breaks down the appendix as far as what to expect. It actually goes over critical activities. And it's not just one sheet of paper. This is an entire thing to help you to get started and help you get started the right way. So if you're a person who are considering, I want to build a business, or I want to do something, or I want to build a business, they're actually going to provide you with tools up front. Remember, I talked about that. A company would tell you to spend $500 and they don't even provide you with a business kit. What's that? They tell you to go build a contact list, but they don't provide you with a business kit. That's like buying a car online and saying, okay, we're going to mail you the keys, but then you have to come and go get the car afterwards. No, I bought the car. You shipped the car to me with the keys so that I can go where I need to go. Now I can be active. Now I don't have to go do something else before I can then become active. You know what I mean? It's almost like an oxymoron. But the number, like I was saying, to call is, and this is wonderful. This is wonderful because you even get enrollment forms as well. So they give you all the tools needed. And the beautiful thing about this company, it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. It's not going to cost you $1,600 to get started. It's not going to cost you $1,300. It's not going to cost you $1,000. It's not going to cost you $800. It's not going to cost you. It's not even going to cost you $500 if you want to start a business. If you think I'm playing, I'm actually going to share some more information with you at another time. But as I was saying, to join me, to join my organization, you can actually call this number, 1-800-262-0600. Again, that number is 1-800-262-0600. They're actually located in Idaho Falls, Idaho. Wonderful company. And the CEO of that company, Frank L. Vandersloot, that is a guy that has a heart to help the average guy get ahead. That's my personal opinion. I've met him before. We actually had a few conversations, and you really don't get a chance to meet or actually interact with the CEO of a major company when you partner with them. And I actually had the opportunity to do that. And from my personal experience, and now he didn't know me at the time. He was just passing by, and I just said hello. And it was amazing to me that he was in the process of going somewhere to get something done. And I was just a person passing by saying hello. And he actually stopped, and we actually had a conversation. It was more than one occasion, which was great to me. So it lets me know that he's not isolating himself from the people that his company's partnering with. He wants to take the time to share, even though he had something and he was busy in the process of heading to do something. And honestly, I was just trying to say hello. But in the process of me saying, "Hey Frank, how you doing?" He said, "How you doing?" And then walked up, we shook hands, and before you know it, we had a small interaction there, which was amazing to me personally. And listen, don't take my word for it. There are hundreds of thousands of households right now, all across North America and in the world. Last year alone, they wrote out commission checks, or they paid out more than $2 billion to average Americans just like us, because we referred someone and someone shared in the, and you shared in the revenue. You didn't have to stock. You didn't have to buy stuff to go sell it. You didn't have to take money from anybody or anything like that. All you did was shop for stuff at your home, stuff that you would normally buy. And I'm going to provide some more information for you. But if you want, you can check us out at melaleuca.com. That's MELALEUCA.com. And before this is over, I'm going to make sure that I actually share with you a picture of the list of the brands of products. Again, my name is Jason Roy Llewellyn Miller, and I just want to thank you again for spending some time with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you. And as always, my prayer for you is that you experience the fullness that God has for you. Not just money in your bank account, not just healing in your body, but the absolute fullness. The Bible says, God says that I came that you might have life, and life more abundantly. If you're just getting by, if you're doing all right, you might need a little bit more, or you might feel all right. My prayer is still for you that you experience the abundance in life that God has for you. Again, my name is Jason Roy Llewellyn Miller. I want to thank you for your time, and as always, God's best. God bless.
It's just different. Epic beats.
They say that two wrongs never could make a right, but after putting in 10 years of my life, I need at least 10 months to get it right, so the next one don't get the backlash from the last fight. This is me moving on with no fuss or fight. In case you forgot that I'm an artist and I can write. Therapist said write it to a T, so I take it from the heart and I put it to a beat. Melody sometimes can sound so bittersweet, cause you need cannabis to help with your memory, like I need cannabis for this pain in my back. Will you stab me with a knife? A decade of my life for spite. You find reasons to argue every night, knowing that the way that you living just wasn't right. Gave you plenty chances to deal with me right, or to talk to me straight, but you wanna play sideways. Silly rabbit, so I let you with your mind games. Created your own mess, so deal with the shame. Manipulated yourself into your blame games. Now you're stuck because I no longer participate. Been about 7 months now since we separate. Now that we wanna know King Solomon mind state. Why is Royale so great? Where did Jason Miller come from? Every industry he touched changed for the better. Business or network and entertainment, such talent and skills got cultivated. Author, thinker, speaker, can't wait for me to teach how. Proper planning brings higher understanding, but it's not me, but he in thee. I give the credit, help me to be your father early on, when I could've got a deal and could've got put on, but the seeds that I sowed, they had to be strong, so I sharpen my skills while focusing on my call. My purpose is the underlying message of the song. If you see with your ears and your heart will be strong, how to deal with the kids and the issues of this life. No prescription, just a prayer at night. From a boy to a man, from a seed to a plant, from a fatherless son to a father of many nations, children of all races. When people bestow my wealth to be patient. Because the fight is not against flesh and blood, but a spiritual darkness and principalities that. So the scheme is the mindset, the hatred and deceit. She got caught while I got free. It's why people would stalk over cannabis seed, but that seed brings life that heals. Sickness, disorders, and disease, this plague in the fields of all of humanity. Branches the same tree, fruit to the same seed, children the same father, called to the same deed. Blessed with many gifts, some may call us travelers, scourge, call us apostles. I hope you understand that my faith is in God, in you to manifest. No chip on my shoulder, getting dead up my chest. David and Goliath, just a cover for my chest. No backwards armor, no retreat, no surrender, no drama. So covered under the holy armor, dripped in blood by the power of the Father. Thou will be done. No lamb for the slaughter, cause you sent his son. Jesus was the martyr for sin. In the past, in the present, and the future, I am the seed to bring you to the future. These seeds, plant them in your heart and let it cultivate, so that the spirit of God in you will celebrate. In your purpose you will start to marinate, and in your life and times it will resonate. And let your light shine as you illuminate. All around you a lamp of light, as the will of God becomes your lamp of life. I will return like a thief in the night. You see my flesh, but you feel my spirit. Left you a comforter, so you know it was finished. So when I return, it's time for you to flourish.